right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Tonight, sprucing up 70, the plan to improve the interstate and why it means 4 years of construction.
This is ideal weather for outdoor construction. The one chance for rain this week locally, and how steamy your Labor Day weekend looks.
And our top story tonight, an embattled mayor and his naysayers are no-shows. The Jennings City Council meeting just wrapping up after accusations of abuse of power. Tonight, several city council members say they plan to hold a vote of no confidence for Jennings Mayor Gary Johnson. Good evening, I'm Ann Allred.
And I'm Mike Bush. That vote did not happen, nor did any new business on the agenda. 5 on Your Side's Brent Solomon is live in Jennings now to explain. Brent.
Well, it was a packed house tonight, that meeting just wrapping up in the last few minutes. But the reason that city leaders were not able to vote on important business tonight, like neighborhood improvements, because several council members decided not to show up. Take a look at your screen right now. I want to take you straight to that video we just captured. The meeting took place regardless, just without the 3 council members who did show up being able to vote on matters of importance. It comes as some city council members circulated a letter last week saying tonight they were planning to take a vote of no confidence in the mayor, claiming he's abusing his power and causing employees to step down due to an alleged hostile work environment. At tonight's meeting, though, a different tone. Everyone who spoke out during public comment gave Mayor Gary Johnson a vote of full confidence.
I feel like some of the things that occurred are personal feelings that different people have for the mayor. He won fair and square. Let's move on, council members. I'm asking you all to stop with the tick and for the tack allegations. You are embarrassing this great city of Jennings.
I've been here 40 years, and 2 before you. I've never seen anything like you're doing for this city. Never before.
You continue on because you're going to go through persecution. You're going to go through persecution when you're doing good. Continue on.
That support comes after a recent, contentious, and controversial emergency meeting last week where leaders tried to reverse decisions the mayor recommended the week before, including terminations and accepting resignations of some city leaders. The mayor said that emergency meeting was not authorized because he did not call it. Tonight, I reached out to one of the council members who gave us that vote of no confidence letter to find out why they didn't show up tonight, but I did not hear back. Meantime, the mayor says he plans to reach out to those 5 council members because he wants to move the city forward. We're live in Jennings tonight. Brent Solomon, 5 on Your Side.
Breaking news tonight. Within the hour, U.S. Marines confirmed a Metro East native was one of the 3 Marines killed in an aircraft crash off the coast of Australia. Captain Eleanor LeBeau is from Belleville, Illinois. She was 29 years old. That crash happened yesterday during a multinational military training exercise. 20 others on board survived.
New tonight, the St. Charles County Council has unanimously voted down a controversial housing development project. It was planned near the Bush Wildlife Center. Many nearby residents complained that rural area could not handle the traffic, and Councilman Joe Brazel says the project may not be dead, believing the city of O'Fallon could annex the area. The developer has said they don't have plans for annexation.
Tonight, Missouri drivers got their first chance to give their input on MoDOT's $3 billion improvement project along Interstate 70. Our Laura Barczewski was at tonight's open house in Wentzville and has details on when the road work could start.
MoDOT announced the timeline to start improvements along I-70. They'll actually begin early next year in Columbia, then move to Wentzville in the fall of next year, which people say here in Wentzville is long overdue.
Brian Phipps says he's seen crash after crash on Interstate 70 from his very own window at his Wentzville apartment.
You'll see it's blocked both directions, and I don't see it improving until something gets done now, and we need to really think about what we're doing.
To make some major changes for drivers, MoDOT will be adding a third lane to both east and westbound I-70 from Blue Springs to Wentzville. At the same time, they hope to make other safety improvements.
We're evaluating everything from the pavement to the bridges to the exit ramps to, how do we make sure that cars that veer off the road are safe. So we're evaluating everything at this point.
Phipps says he hopes to see guardrails installed around some of the tight curves.
It was about a year ago, a guy ran off the road and flipped and slid down the hill backwards, and of course he was killed.
The project will happen in 6 different phases, including 20 miles from Wentzville to Warrenton.
Right, so particularly here in Wentzville, we want to see the kind of the reconstruction of the 64, 40, 61, whatever number you want to use there, interchange, and the Highway Z interchange, because it really bottlenecks there on Interstate 70 along with the railroad.
MoDOT says they want to hear from the public on this project, and we'll have a link on KSDK.com where people can provide that feedback. Reporting in Wentzville, Laura Barcheski, 5 on your side.
Tonight, an attempted carjacking suspect is recovering after being shot by police in North St. Louis County. Officers say he fired multiple shots first. It started this morning outside of a Dollar General store on Parker Road. Police say the man stole a woman's car keys at gunpoint. He got in her car, but then quickly got out and started walking away. An officer spotted the suspect nearby and then says the man opened fire.
The officer was able to return fire and struck the suspect. The officer immediately applied aid to the suspect.
The officer, who was not hit, but several bullets did hit his cruiser. The suspect was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
A St. Louis man has been sentenced to 20 years in prison for sexually assaulting 2 12-year-old girls he met on social media. 20-year-old Adrian Neal pleaded guilty to statutory rape, kidnapping, and child molestation charges. According to prosecutors, Neal met his victims on Snapchat. Neal is also facing kidnapping charges in St. Louis County in a separate case. Tonight, a St. Peter's man is charged with kidnapping and assault of a real estate agent. According to court documents, Adam Nazinski met with the realtor at his condo to discuss listing it. She told police he pointed a gun at her chest and grabbed her as she tried to escape. She managed to get out of the condo and call for help.
Tragedy tonight at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. A faculty member was gunned down inside a building on campus today. The shooting led to a 3-hour campus-wide lockdown. A person of interest was taken into custody, but his identity and a motive have not been released. Tonight, a security officer at a historically black university in Florida is being hailed a hero for thwarting a possible mass shooting on campus.
Sadly, the shooter drove to a nearby Dollar General store in Jacksonville and killed 3 people. As Chris Ballone reports, the FBI is now investigating the attack as a hate crime.
At Edward Waters University in Jacksonville, Florida, a standing ovation for Lieutenant Antonio Bailey. Saturday, the university security officer had no idea at the time he was confronting a man who had his heart set on killing black people.
I just wanted to make sure that everyone was safe and that I got the license plate to where, anything came above or came about, then I could provide that.
Edward Waters University is a historically black institution not far from the Dollar General store where Ryan Palmer ended up killing 3 people Saturday afternoon in what police are calling a racially motivated attack. Lieutenant Bailey confronted Palmer after students saw him park on campus and put on gloves. Palmer sped away with Bailey in pursuit. School officials say he likely prevented a massacre on campus.
You, sir, are nothing short of a hero, and we honor you today.
Police later released video of Palmer wearing a tactical vest, opening fire outside the Dollar General store and then inside, killing Angela Carr, Gerald Gallion, and A.J. Laguerre.
My grandbaby keeps saying is, "Where's my daddy?" And all I can do is grab her because I don't have the words right now.
The FBI is investigating the shooting as a hate crime. Police say the 21-year-old gunman sent racist writings to local law enforcement, the media, and his own parents expressing his desire to kill black people.
The manifesto is quite frankly, the diary of a madman.
Police say Palmer bought his guns legally despite being held involuntarily on a mental health check when he was 15. Investigators found a pistol and assault rifle at the scene. The rifle had been marked with swastikas. Chris Ballone, NBC News.
And tonight, President Biden denounced the attack in Florida, calling it a clear act of domestic violence extremism.
White supremacy is a poison. It's a poison. It's been allowed to grow faster and fester in our communities. All of us need to say clearly and forcefully as we can, that hate will not prevail in America.
The president's comments came during a White House event honoring the 60th anniversary of the founding of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. And today also marked the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech.
Tonight, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey is putting healthcare providers on notice to stop gender-affirming treatments for minors. It comes on the same day the SAFE Act went into effect in Missouri. The new law bans such treatments to minors and includes adults on Medicaid. In response, advocates at Promo, Missouri are now calling on members of the trans community to bring their stories to the public.
When I was younger, looking up, I didn't see people like me in society and successful. We need to come out. We need to tell our stories. We need to see people like us thriving.
A court ruling Friday said the state can implement the ban while a lawsuit to block it continues. Just today, a judge scheduled a hearing in that case for later next month. Missouri's hands-free law also went into effect today. It is now illegal to text, read, record, or watch videos with your phone while driving. You can still make calls through Bluetooth. This is a secondary offense, meaning police must pull you over for something else first. Fines start at $150, but police will only be issuing warnings until January 2025.
And we'd like once again to thank everyone who made this year's Show of Strength NBA Telethon a success. You, our amazing viewers, always come through. The telethon took place last night live from Grant's Farm, and our goal is to give some hope to the kids and adults fighting these terrible muscle diseases that are often deadly. We're proud to tell you in just over 2 hours, we raised over $270,000. So from all of us here at 5 on Your Side, thank you.
He says an ATM ate his money and the owner wouldn't cough it back up.
I tried everything.
Now he has the cash in hand and is thanking the ITeam.
Nothing turned around until you guys shed some light on it.
Tonight we're getting answers from the ATM industry on your rights. Tracking Idalia. Tonight, Florida prepares for what could become a historic hurricane. The Missourians already answering the call for help.
Idalia is showing signs that it's beginning to rapidly strengthen, where the greatest impacts will be felt and why the Tampa Bay area is still expecting a significant surge of water.
A horrific helicopter crash was caught on camera. A fire rescue chopper is seen spinning out of control before crashing into an apartment building in South Florida. A fire captain and a woman inside the building were killed. The pilot and a paramedic survived that crash. The helicopter was responding to a traffic crash and attempted to turn around when a fire broke out on board. Our ITeam is getting results. Last week, we told you about a man who lost over $200 at the ATM.
Well, tonight, he's got his money back. Senior investigative reporter Paula Vassan has more about his struggle and advice from the ATM Industry Association.
Nothing turned around until you guys shed some light on it. And
Jim Heinkel is relieved after finally getting back the money he lost at the ATM. I met him at a convenience store last week, where he came a few months ago as a favor for a neighbor.
Who is handicapped, he's homebound, and he does his banking through an ATM. And he wanted cash out.
Heinkel had to withdraw $800, but could only take out $200 at a time. He was busy counting the bills when $200 got sucked back into the machine. Same thing happened with his $20 bill after 30 seconds. No countdown, no warning, just a receipt that showed he got the full amount when he did not, until we stepped in.
What do you want to say to KSDK?
I'm thankful. I'm very thankful because none of this would have happened without you all. I am very grateful.
He and his neighbor finally have the lost money back in their accounts.
I tried everything. I tried the Better Business Bureau. I tried the Attorney General for Consumer Affairs.
Now he wants answers. We brought his story to the ATM Industry Association.
Whose responsibility is it to refund the money?
Well, that really depends if it's the ATM operator who's responsible for, giving that money back if there's a problem. So if the operator is the person's bank, then it's pretty easy because everything is all self-contained, within that one institution.
If it's a third-party ATM,
That makes things a little more complicated.
because you're not dealing directly with your bank. He says if you have a problem at any ATM, check the machine for the operator's contact information. If it's not there, reach out to a store manager about the problem, and then talk to your bank or credit union directly. He also believes ATMs could make some changes.
Do you think there should be some sort of warning before the money gets sucked back into the ATM?
It probably would be a good idea.
Best practice, he says, is to grab your money after each transaction, then count it.
We reached out to the owner of the ATM that Jim Hinkle used, NCR Corporation, which oversees all point ATMs. We asked whether they'd consider making it clearer to customers before money goes back into the machine after 30 seconds. We also asked what happens with unclaimed money. We're waiting to hear back. For the ITeam, Paula Vasan, 5 on your side.
And if you've got a tip for our ITeam, you can leave a voice message at 314-444-5231 or email Paula directly at tips@ksdk.com. All calls and correspondence will be kept confidential. Tonight, 3 St. Louis communities are set to receive landmark funding from FEMA in response to last summer's historic flooding. More than $7 million will go towards purchasing properties prone to flooding. This includes the demolition of 3 apartment buildings in University City, 6 homes in Ladue, and 2 homes in Webster Groves. The funding comes from the infrastructure bill passed in November 2021.
Tonight, 13 million people across Florida are under tropical storm or hurricane alerts. Tropical storm Idalia is expected to rapidly intensify as it moves north in the Gulf of Mexico. By the time it makes landfall on Wednesday, it could become the strongest hurricane to hit Florida's Big Bend in nearly 75 years.
This is going to be a major hurricane. This is going to be a powerful hurricane, and this is absolutely going to impact the state of Florida in many, many different ways.
Governor Ron DeSantis has already activated all 5,500 National Guard members in Florida. Tonight, 45 members of Missouri Task Force 1 left for Pensacola. They could be deployed for up to 2 weeks.
Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joins us now with the Weather First forecast. And in addition to our weather, he's been tracking this hurricane.
Yeah, and we're going to get to the hurricane because I know there's a lot of folks down, around St. Louis that have interest down in Florida. And so we're going to talk about that at the end after the 10-day. We're going to go through our weather because there's really not much to talk about here. It's gorgeous. Look downtown. Isn't this a pretty sight tonight? Had the dogs going around in the wheel today over at Union Station. They rode for free as long as their owners brought them down and paid for a ride up on the wheel. Look, we're talking temperatures that have dropped back into the mid-70s now in town. Outlying areas in some cases already down into the 60s. A few high clouds, but it is a quiet night around St. Louis, and we expect it to stay pretty quiet for tonight into tomorrow. Very light winds out of the northeast. We made it to 83 today. 67 was our morning low. We should be a little bit cooler tomorrow morning because our dew points are a little cooler. Down to 58 is the dew point right now. So that means outlying areas should easily get back into the 50s, low to mid 60s in town. As far as the rest of the week, really there's not a whole lot of action here. It's comfortable this week. That's a big difference from last week, right? Little, if any, rain all week. There's one shot at that, which we're going to detail here in a second, and much warmer by Labor Day. But our heat over Labor Day is going to be a lot different than the heat that we saw last week. Our mosquito forecast staying in the high side because those little critters were very busy last week with that very hot, humid weather in place. Here's the deal for your Tuesday. If you have outdoor plans, kids outdoor recess, no problems. We're talking a little front trying to slip in from the north tomorrow evening. It might produce a scattered shower or two, but it's not going to produce much. And then it moves on. It just basically reinforces the great weather that's across the bi-state region. And that means for Wednesday and Thursday, highs in the upper 70s to lower 80s with abundant sunshine. Your one chance of rain, it's a small one. It's tomorrow evening. And then after that, quiet right through Labor Day weekend into next week. It does get hot by Sunday and Monday, back into the mid-90s, but those temperatures are coming at us without the excessive humidity. Now let's talk the tropics. Franklin out in the Atlantic. This is Idalia. You can see it's actually strengthening a bit. That's indicated by this large blob of red that you just kind of see explode there off the western tip of Cuba. Still at 70-mile-per-hour winds. The track of this, though, is going to stay to the west of Tampa. That's good and bad. If it gets too close, it makes the surge even worse and brings the winds in. If it stays offshore, you still get the surge, but you don't get the stronger winds. It's in this Big Bend area where there's bigger concerns. By the time it gets up towards the Carolinas, South Carolina coast, it'll be weakening. Just for reference, the area that's really under the gun here is going to be north of Tampa, up towards this area around Cedar Key. Those are the folks that need to be concerned. You have property from Mexico Beach west towards Panama City, you're in good shape. There's no problems going back towards Destin or Pensacola.
All right, Scott, thank you. Frank, what's coming up?
Waino was good, but was he good enough? City SC continues to get good news, and I've discovered one family member who actually watches our newscast. That probing story when we come back.
The Sports Desk is sponsored by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer 10 years running.
On paper, this was a matchup like a jump ball between Willie Shoemaker and Wilt Chamberlain. Blake Snell has the lowest ERA in baseball, and Adam Wainwright has the highest. Waino could not watch. Drama in the fourth, but Snell took care of Andrew Kisner and Jordan Walker with the bases loaded to get out of it. In the sixth, Matt Carpenter will break the tie with this hit off Waino. It scores a run, but Xavier Bogaerts is thrown out at third by Jordan Walker. Waino went 6 and allowed a run. Paul Goldschmidt homered, but the Cardinals have scored 2 runs or fewer in 9 of their last 12. They're 20 games under 500 for the first time since 1995. Padres win 4-1.
This 5 on Your Side St. Louis City SC coverage is sponsored by Together Credit Union.
Even when City SC has lost a few games over the last 4 months, Coach Bradley Carnell has always been confident. Maybe that's because he knew that Klaus would be back. And it looks like now he has finally recovered from his quad injury. When Klaus returned to the field in the 77th minute on Saturday, it was a release for City's most potent scorer. It ended 4 months of tested patience and self-doubt. Doubt that he would ever get back. But there he was. And even though he didn't score, he says it was a huge relief. It was like a wild colt being released back into the wild.
When they come in, I just forget about everything. I forgot about my injury. I forgot about the 4 months. I just want to go 100% and help my team. So, yeah, that was pretty important for me and for my mind.
Mother Nature tried to play mind games at WWT Raceway. 6 days of 100-degree heat, then the monsoon on Saturday. But on race day, the Bommarito 500 was a big hit with future Hall of Famer Scott Dixon winning the race and the fans loving it. And plenty of local angles, too.
I remember when Chaffetz was being built. Definitely penny pitchers Wednesday nights at Humphreys. I remember going to the Cleeds on a few nights.
You would know those things if you went to St. Louis University, and that's what Lauren Sullivan did. She graduated with a degree in aerospace engineering. Now the 35-year-old is putting that degree to use with the most famous racing team in Indy cars, the Penske team. She worked at Boeing for 8 years out of college, but the career move has really worked out well.
Honestly, airplanes are boring. I wanted to do something that was more exciting. So after about 5 years of wind tunnel testing for Boeing on the defense side, I decided to get back into my roots. I grew up with racing and wanted to see if I could turn my hobby into a career.
Finally tonight, when you've been doing this for 30 years, your family stops watching. They actually now have to take my word for it that I'm still on TV. However, tonight at 6 p.m., I found out that I still have one family member who still watches. This is Zoe, my granddaughter, Alex and Macy's 1-year-old, and they noticed tonight she's glued to the TV when I do the sports. An astute judge of talent she is. Or maybe she's wondering why Papa's on that big screen. Anyway, I deeply appreciate the loyalty of that young lady.
Loves her Papa's voice.
Yes.
Are you saying Monique used to watch?
Oh, she doesn't know I do sports anymore.
Thanks, Frank.
All right.
Amazon upping the ante. How much more you'll have to spend to get your deliveries for free. You may have to spend $10 more to get free shipping from Amazon. The minimum for no-cost shipping is going up from $25 to $35. Consumer World says the increase is based on where you live. It does not affect Prime members.
They let the dogs out today at the St. Louis Wheel. All day, dogs could take a free ride on the attraction with their humans. They were even treated to fresh bowls of water and treats. That special event was postponed until today because of last week's extreme heat.
The dog days of summer are almost over, and your pup can get in one last swim. Several public pools in the area are hosting dog swims next week before closing up for the season. For a full list, just text the word dog to 314-425-5355, and we'll send you a link with that information.
Just be careful when they get out because you don't want to step in a poodle. There you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Have a great tomorrow.